Hey, I am back. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Sorry. Sorry for being a little bit late to the stream as usual, and sorry. It's way too loud. Sorry for being a little bit late to the stream, and sorry for starting my stream a little bit later than usual. Had some family stuff going on. Had some events happening that ran way too late, which seems to be a theme this break, unfortunately. Actually, no. I'm gonna start with some hype music. Let's go. Alrighty, let's go. I figured that'd be fun to play a little bit of music like that at the beginning of the stream. Excuse me. That's Bad Place by Little Limbo. But yeah, let's go. I guess I should just go ahead and dive into everything because I have a lot of things that I plan on getting to. By the way, of course, we have the drink of the day, bourbon whiskey, which I feel like it goes without saying, but I think I might as well say it anyway. It is a distinctive product, which is completely unlike other types of beverages. You're not going to be able to find any beverage out in the market quite like bourbon whiskey. Oh, man. So let's see. We have so many things that we could get to. So many things to get to this stream. I'm going to pop into the Discord so that if you want to join me, you can. Now, do you want to know how to join the Discord? Well, it's really easy because I put the link in the description. Now, you may notice that this is not the stereotypical Discord link that one might expect to find. And well, that's because it's not designed to be the stereotypical Discord link. This link is a link that I made because for whatever reason, the link kept expiring or whatever, and it was really annoying. I had to make new links to send to people, so I just decided to go ahead and make my own website that redirects to whatever the current link is. If the link expires, I just go in and fix it, and the link that I get to give to everyone remains exactly the same. It's really, really convenient. So, I'm not an angel, but be not afraid. Feel free to use the link in the description. I am in the Discord right now. If you want to just join the stream, you can feel free to do that. I'm currently in the Discord smiling like that. I'm not going to say who's got me smiling like that. I have a lot of videos that I have to react to. But first, I want to talk about, I don't know. It's going to be difficult for me to talk about this tactfully. I'm going to do my best. So, if you guys are in the Discord, I don't think I'm going to pull anything up. But if you guys were in the Discord, there've been lots of talks going around because I planned on starting a D&D campaign. D&D is a game that I found kind of interesting. I haven't heard too much about it. Just here and there, I hear snippets and different things. From what I gather, it's like a procedural storytelling thing. It continues to go on. It can be infinite. A lot of the outcomes of what happens are based on like rolls of dice, but what you do is like determined by the players. And so that's been those seemed like fun. I was able to find like the necessary dice that the players use for it. So I have those. I also have backups in case I lost the ones that I have because I know how forgetful I can be. And other than conceptually, what I knew about the game, I didn't really look too much into it. First I went out to find people to play the game with, hopefully people who haven't played the game yet, so that it'd be a nice bonding experience because we're all coming together to learn this game, how to play it together. But I really was not prepared. I mentioned the game in passing because I was gonna ask my brother if he wanted to join it because I'd be willing to like add it as like something that we could do together because unfortunately there aren't too many things that we're doing together right now. But like both he and my dad and kind of one of my sisters kind of like made this face, and my dad especially had a visceral reaction as he began telling me about how this game was connected to Satanism, is connected to witchcraft, which I wasn't really. I mean, I had heard like some rumblings of it, but I didn't really know that it had been all that established. Gotta love bourbon. But and it was something that I was like slightly aware of, that accusation. And so before I even started the game, I asked multiple people that I know in person who have played the game before, like is witchcraft like in the game, like as far as like does the game include the like any use of witchcraft or whatever. They were like no. And so I believed them. But my dad did not. So apparently, there's a lot of accusations about the game being connected to witchcraft and being connected to magic. And so, Dad, he started the conversation with the pretense that let's like have like a debate and discussion about this and why you're interested in whatever. But then later on, he made it clear that he was going to ban me from playing the game. So that was like a whole discussion. And thankfully, I think all of the conversations that took place were very gracious and very civil and respectful, and that was great. Because that doesn't always happen. Now, then, I think that kind of backtracked a little bit. His big thing was, from his point of view, this game involves the use of magic, and he doesn't really want, the use of magic in the house. I think it's kind of fair. It's a huge liability. I think if I was in his position, someone was just like, yo, I want to cast some magic spells. I feel like that'd be beyond the bounds of what I would want to let my kid do, especially as a Christian parent. That's like his perspective, where he's coming from. But then later he kind of backtracked and he was like, well, if you can kind of demonstrate to me that like there isn't magic in the game or whatever, I'm open to changing my mind. So I did a lot of research. I spent like a handful of days fixating on this and studying this in length. And I haven't finished everything that I meant to study about the game. I sort of I don't know. My interest in doing a lot of the research has lost some steam, although I'm still moving forward with working on the plans. I'm kind of close to figuring out what I want to do as far as like the campaign and the storyline. Yeah, it was really interesting. Like some of the research that I found. I still need to do some more digging, but it seems a lot like there were a couple of individuals who had They were tangled up in some dark things and were like committing into some dark activities, and some of them unfortunately ended up passing away. And after like a couple of them passed away, I forget who it was exactly, but like a lot of it was the parents kind of noticed that the kids played Dungeons and Dragons and said, oh, the game made them do magic or was satanic and demonic, and they wouldn't have done what they did if it wasn't for the game. And there were, and that started the whole campaign. One of the ladies who was the mother started an entire organization dedicated specifically to combating Dungeons and Dragons. This was able to catch the ear of CBN, which if you guys don't know CBN, Christian Broadcasting Network, they're a huge Christian cable television channel, way bigger than, if you're familiar with NRB, way bigger than them. They're kind of like the biggest rival to TBN, if you've heard of TBN before. So they were able to get their ear. A lot of news reports were on talking about this because so the cause of these deaths, in reality, A lot of it was a mixture of depression and bad parenting, along with some external stressors that kind of pushed these people over the edge. But those facts of those cases, either the investigators hid from the parents because the kids didn't want the parents to know, or whatever, or they kept it out of like the news headlines because they didn't want to air out the family's dirty laundry out in the open. But it was publicly well known knowledge that these people had played Dungeons and Dragons, and so that was the only thing that really stood out to like the media and a lot of the public. And it's a very interesting case. And what I find most fascinating about this is the perception that this game has a connection to magic persists, despite that there have been no, because like a lot of times, like when this was like a very like prevalent and huge thing, and not just in the Christian community, because it really took hold in the Christian community, like the secular world in the mass media kind of picked it up, but they didn't really play around with it for too long. It was just like a ratings thing because it's like kids going missing because of this game, but then they kind of just like ignored the story after like a couple years. But I find interesting is that in the decades following, and I guess towards today, for everyone especially for everyone's who's in my parents' age bracket and above, because everything started here in the '80s. You gotta think about this. That is, I think my parents must have been. How old must my parents have been? They were probably like maybe like lower teens or so. So like right around that time when it's really, they definitely would have heard about it, and they also probably would have been like younger. So it wouldn't have been like imagine like I don't know being like maybe like mid to upper 20s, 30s, 40s, and then hearing a story like that and being like, this is interesting. Let me do some research versus being like, I don't know, like 12, 13, 14, 15, hearing something on the news. I think when you're younger, you're a lot more likely to just like assume whatever news report you hear is true. And I feel like for a lot of people of that generation, that's probably most likely what they did. Because a lot of like the evidence and the backing behind a lot of the claims, at least all of the evidence that I've looked into, a lot of it was just like either like fabricated or Dungeons and Dragons was like not the root cause of the issue. So it's been very interesting to research, and what I find most fascinating is that the belief persists despite the fact that you'd be really hard pressed to find a claim about connections to Dungeons and Dragons and Satanism that is like beyond the 80s. Like maybe there's one or two in the 90s and none past 2000. You'll hear some Christians out here in the 2000s, this in like 2020s, I guess now, even, with, believing that this game is connected to magic, but you won't really hear as many testimonials, because there were like a dozen or so testimonials at least of people being like, yo, I was playing this game and like all this magic, blah, blah, blah stuff happened. Or, well, actually you wouldn't really hear that because only one or two people would really say that. Even then, a lot of their details didn't seem to be all that credible from what I've seen. But most of the time, it was people pulling out newspaper clippings and being like, "Oh, this person died, this Dungeons and Dragons player, because of Dungeons and Dragons," and that just doesn't happen anymore. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm talking about it a lot. I just wanted to kind of break. I know I'm talking a lot about this very, very contentious topic. And it's not to stir the pot or anything. A lot of this is for my fans and for my viewers to explain, what exactly is happening in the Discord, why the Discord has been filled with D&D people talking about D&D. It's because I'm organizing a D&D game. Now, one thing that my parents have been gracious about is that they're allowing me to play the game off-site, which I appreciate. If we play off-site, and I should probably put this out in the Discord. Let me do this here. Let's see. When I play or no. If I end up making this be like an exclusively, uh, you know, in-person game, I'm thinking about just making this be like, or not in-person game, but making this an exclusively. If I end up making this game be something that happens exclusively offsite, exclusively on like during the semester, I'll probably make this be an on-campus thing with people that I know instead of with a lot of the internet friends that I've roped into this. Specifically, just because a big part of it is one of the guys who's in my hall who is going to be included in the game was like, well, you have 7 people in this game. Ideally, you want to have 3 to 4 players in the game. 7 is a bit much. So, just to make it easier to manage, and since there are 4 players that I know in person, I think it makes things just a lot easier to just keep it to 4 people. Excuse me. So yeah, that's where things are at. Hopefully, things are less confusing. And I hope that makes everything make sense. You know, if you guys have more questions about this, feel free to leave something in the description. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. That's where it's all happening. One another thing I really want to talk about, and I don't know, maybe this is something I'll pick up. This is mainly a thing for me, like asking the chat. You know, kind of curious to see, like, is procrastination a sin? Now, I have no idea why in the world this popped off in my church group, but it did. People were, you know, talking about how procrastination is a sin. People were wondering why procrastination was a sin. There's this one person in particular who was, you know, kind of like, I think that what was happening was she was procrastinating. She was procrastinating on doing something that she needed to be doing, and she was really having trouble getting herself out of that procrastination state and into the process of like actually getting the thing done. And that was really like placing a burden on her conscience. And so she was asking people like, you know, is this actually a sin? Because I'm trying not to procrastinate, but I'm still procrastinating. And the general consensus around the table was, yeah. And I find this kind of curious as someone who, procrastinates. And not just necessarily that. I am someone who I have a lot of ADHD tendencies. I very much have a oops, sorry. There we go. All right. I very much have an ADHD brain. I have friends who have ADHD brains, you know, some far more ADHD than mine. And this is something that we've kind of, you know, talked about in depth. I've also, you know, thrown this out on Reddit, heard some people's perspectives on that. And one thing that's interesting is, you know, people talk about, you know, redeeming the time, making sure that you are spending your time wisely, those really solid biblical principles, and they use those as evidence that procrastination is bad and it's sinful and it violates those things. But I would actually beg to differ, and I have a story about this because I typically procrastinate when I'm writing papers. Usually I won't start a paper. I know that writing a paper takes about 45 minutes to do for me. Writing a good paper takes me about that much time, like a short paper, you know, for school. And I usually will start the paper about an hour before it's due. Go through it 45 minutes, you know, maybe give myself like 10 minutes to like do tweaks and get it sent off, and now have it done in time. One time I was like, yo, I literally don't have anything else to do. Why don't I just like not procrastinate and do this paper? And so I decided to try and plow through and do this paper. It was a very hellish experience. I was, you know, this paper, which mind you, ordinarily takes me about 45 minutes to do a paper, and it's good. Like when I do the paper, it's actually good quality, and I finish, and I'm like, I am really happy with the work that I put in. This is a solid paper. I love this. And it's a very enjoyable experience. Like I love writing papers. This just turned it into an absolutely hellish experience. It took me like over 2 hours to get this paper done. The entire time I was second guessing myself. Like, is this good? Do I need to continue? Do I need to go back and read what I wrote, or do we need to plow through and continue writing? Second guessing even my own ideas. I'm like, I have this idea in my head. Should I write this down on the page? And now I will say this: I think that paper, the output, was not any worse than the output of my typical papers. But what I found was, I'm decreasing my productivity. I'm actually wasting time by not procrastinating, because I'm spending so much more time literally doing the same thing with the same quality and getting the same result. Why does it make more sense for me to make something in 2.5 hours when I could very well have done it in 45 minutes? It doesn't. And I think that people assume you're spending time you could be using working for not working, and thus that time is wasted. Well, I would argue, if your procrastination tendencies causes you to actually be more productive, which is the case for me, causes you to be more productive because you're not, while I was working 2.5 hours, I was wasting time. I was wasting time second guessing my good ideas, second guessing my good work, and kind of just like beating myself up over something that was completely fine. That was like totally, it was good work. Like, there was no reason for me to be second guessing myself as much as I was. But when I'm closer to that deadline, there's no, my brain is 100% focused on writing the paper and just like writing down what I have in my head. And usually what I have in my head is good. So my brain is like, you do not have time to to second guess yourself. Write down the good ideas that you have in your head and move on. And that's what I do. And the papers are great and they're fantastic. So yeah, and I thought it was really curious the air in which this claim was aired out too, because usually, I don't know, I think there are a lot of topics of conscience. I don't know that this is necessarily a question of conscience. I just don't think that procrastination is the thing here. It's are you using your time wisely? There's some people, probably a lot of people, especially neurotypicals, where procrastination just does not make sense. It is very much a waste of time. You are, maybe not going to be as efficient if you're rushing yourself. Versus someone like me who is actually more efficient at rushing yourself, which is super weird. And it'll just be bad. There's a reason, and I think this whole concept of procrastination being a sin makes sense for most people, and I think that's why it's put out. I just think it unnecessarily stigmatizes individuals who use procrastination well, because it helps them be more efficient, helps them save more time, and helps them use their time more efficiently than they would otherwise. So, but anyways, that's my thoughts. I would love to hear your guys' perspectives. I know I didn't really quote like a lick of scripture, so if you guys want to, I referred to scriptural precedent and principles, which it's the same thing that like everybody else used when they were having the discussion. But if you guys want to throw scripture at me to prove how wrong I am, feel free to do so. That's kind of what I did the segment all about, is just to get somebody to prove me wrong, or maybe get somebody to prove me right. I don't know, because this is just an opinion. So let me know. But anyways, I have something very, very exciting to show you guys. Hold on, give me 1 second. And I'm really looking forward to this. I'm about to do my first ever tier list on stream. Now, I'm quite sure that all of you guys are familiar with tier lists. You've seen tier lists made before by other streamers. I am not other streamers. I am worse. But yes, here I'm going to do a tier list. 2 tier lists, actually. 2 tier lists that are basically the same thing. The first tier list is going to be, you know, a tier list showing, you know, the top shows that I've been watching this past fall semester. Okay? I'm going to be ranking them on the typical continuum. As you see here, you have S, A, B, C, D, E, F, all of those. Then, I'm also going to be going through the same thing, but just with all of the shows that I've either started watching over this break or I plan on watching over this break. And yeah, so we'll go ahead and go with this. We'll see how this works out. Yeah, we'll see how this works out. This should be fun. And I'm going to do like mini reviews. This is like lightning round TV show reviews, essentially, on here. So first we have The Last Ship. And I think, can I just like put it up here randomly? Oh, it just shows up in its full size. That's awesome. That's exactly what I wanted here. I'm glad that it does this. This is, you know, exactly what I was hoping it would do. There we go. Okay. Here we have The Last Ship. Now, The Last Ship is a show that definitely could not have been done today. It's way too anti-China. Like, it's hard for me to describe without giving spoilers. And granted, I'm in season 3, but just there's so many things that the Chinese country is doing in this show that's like, there's no way that a television channel today would allow a country to be portrayed like this. Now, another thing I really appreciate about this show is, you know, a lot of shows of similar genres, like there's like it's the TV-14, you know, sometimes aesthetically dark, but not really all that dark tonally, have been like, I've noticed of like this like mid to early 2010s era. They actually get better over time, which is weird because most shows today don't do that, but The Last Ship does. And so because of that, I think I will. No, actually, you know what? I can't put on the A tier. I was thinking about putting this on the A tier, but there's some unrealistic things that, again, because of spoilers, I can't get into. But I was not happy about that they ticked me off. So The Last Ship is B tier for, you know, bad dog, you did unrealistic things. Now we have The X-Files. Now, you know, my lightning review of The X-Files, you know, boom, here. Now we have The X-Files. My review of The X-Files is, I don't really need to say anything. S tier. That means superb, wonderful. Okay. Now, we have the wonderful, magnificent television program that is known as Succession. This show is incredible. It's the best show on television right now, by far. The show is it's just magnificent. It's a piece of art. This season has been absolutely insane. I gotta put this up on the S tier as well, along with The X-Files. Yeah. I can't really say too much without giving spoilers, except watch it. It's the best show on television. It's going to end up having a far greater legacy than Game of Thrones. HBO probably wishes Game of Thrones was as good as Succession is. Alrighty. We also have Adventure Time. I'm not going to sing the theme song because it might put me in copyright jeopardy. But Adventure Time is a really fun show. It's slowly becoming a comfort show of mine, which I wasn't entirely expecting. You know, it's a quality show. I like how it, you know, most cartoons are either in the lanes of anthologies or serialized, what Adventure Time instead is, it seems very lore based. So it's not like this show, doesn't have a continuing storyline. It does, but it's not very like picking up where we left off, type of thing like OKKO happened to be a lot of the time. Instead, this show, it just builds lore. It adds characters that are used later, and those motivations remain. So it makes for interesting things, even if like there wasn't like a necessarily like serialized overarching plot. It's just like this character's back, trying to do the same thing he was doing before, but like a little bit different. I think for whatever reason in the current season that I'm on, something seems to be a little bit off. The serialized storytelling is great, but there's just something that seems a little bit off. Like I think too much of the randomness is just not funny and just random for randomness sake, which I don't think is a good enough reason for it to be there. I'm gonna put the Adventure Time on the A tier, but ordinarily I would be inclined to put Adventure Time in the S tier. Now here is the OG, my OG comfort show. I don't know what it is about the show that's so comforting. I think it's just like the most wholesome show that I'm watching right now. But I will say, Summer Camp Island, they didn't do serialized things, but they had themes of, things that the characters were struggling with that they would keep very, consistent throughout each season. And I feel like they didn't do that as much this season, which is a little bit disappointing. Again, ordinarily I would be inclined to put this on the A tier or the S tier, but I think I'm gonna have to stick it in the A tier. It's a good show. It's a good show, and it's still one of my favorite cartoons of all time. Probably the favorite cartoon that I'm watching right now, but I just feel like it's a little bit of decline. Now we have Dave. Dave is a fun show. I'm watching this show with my roommates. Watched the first season over the past semester. This is a fun show. I would say I don't necessarily like how, unless he's an industry plant, which I don't know if he's portraying the show as an industry plant. I feel like, not really. His rise to success is just a little bit too, I find it unsettlingly quick. Like, it doesn't make too much sense. So there's that. Also, I think the main character isn't as likable or like roots forable like as you would wish a main character to be. So it's a little bit disappointing, but it's a good show. I think that some of the characters also aren't as strong as they could be. They're a lot of the main cast is pretty well done, but a lot of really, really great shows of the same caliber, I think they could do more with the side characters. Maybe not. Maybe I'm nitpicking a little bit, but I think I'm going to stick this in the A tier instead of the S tier. Maybe, now we'll see the next episode. Next season, because I think that another thing too is like the I don't know. I'm rambling a bit, but yeah, that is Dave. Now, Frasier. Frasier's a fun show. I do think that it leans a little bit too much on the same type of comedy for all of the humor, which would ordinarily put it on the A tier. I also think that there's some of the themes that they spend too much time repeating rather than actually dealing with certain storylines with different characters. So I'm going to have to stick that in the B tier, unfortunately. As you can tell, I'm a nice guy. I don't like saying bad things about people, which is why I have nothing in the C, D, E, F tier for this. But it's also because I have high standards, right? I only want to watch good shows because good shows are good. Now, 911. Now, this is sad to watch. This is sad for me to say because 911 is one of my favorite shows. Well, it's not one of my favorite shows. One of my favorite broadcast television shows that's currently airing. It's a weird category. But it's just, this show has been lapsing in quality this season. I think, the first half of the first half of the season was fire. But then it just lost steam. They forgot that like what makes this show great. I'm gonna put this down in C tier. Unfortunately, I'm going to put this down in C tier. What 911 forgot makes this show great is serialized storylines that take over the course of like at least half a season. It kind of Easter eggs are thrown into it. Easter eggs are kind of thrown in about it at like the beginning half of the season. Then the whole thing gets kicked off in the middle, and then the rest of the season is just bonkers and awesome. They did this best in season 2. I think season 2 was 911's best season, and Lone Star focuses a lot more on the issues that the main characters have, and I think that makes it a better show. So, yeah, it is what it is. But here you guys have it. This is, hold on, I think that should be the right scene, I think. But this is the right, this is my tier list. I only watch shows that are at least okay. As you can see, I only have one show that's on the C tier. Everything else is S or A tier. A lot of my comedic stuff is in the A tier, and things I take a little bit more seriously are in the S tier. I would love to hear what you guys think about this tier list system that I do. Like, would you? I bet there's some people who are out here like, why in the world do you have the X-Files above Dave and Dave above Frasier? I don't know. Some people are probably like, why do you have Frasier above 911 or like The Last Ship above 911? I don't know, man. This is just how good I think these shows are. So it's fine. Don't cry about it. So there's my tier list. There's my tier list. Now, I have another tier list to show you guys. It's literally the same thing. Literally the same thing, but just the shows that I'm watching this break. Because the shows that I watch over the break are a lot different than the shows that I watch during the semester. So let's see. We have Stargirl. It is a CW show. I don't mind it being pixelated because it matches the quality of the program. It started off being a little bit better than bad, and now that we're halfway through, the show is just bad. F tier because it frickin' stinks. Now we have Mother. Mother is such a great show. It gives me vibes from Mr. Robot that I really love. It is topics about dealing with trauma and abuse that I always find fascinating to watch. Also, the show is wonderfully, not only just wonderfully evenly acted, but the cinematography is wonderful. I don't know how good the writing can be because it's dubbed. Well, it's not dubbed. I'm watching it subbed with my sister. I'm gonna give this S tier because this show is so fire. That's what S tier means, so fire. White Collar. I can't wait to pick this show back up because where I'm at now, it has never been more interesting. I was actually on the cusp of dropping out, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch one more episode. That episode was fire, awesome. There are plots about the main character Neil Caffrey that the show has kind of been like teasing us with, but not really doing anything with. But it is a thing that's going to have to like force the main character to make a decision, and they're actually doing it, which I appreciate. It takes guts to try and tie up a main plot point of a show. Now, the only thing, well, there are a couple things that are keeping this from being an S tier show. Actually, I don't even know if it's a A tier show. I'd be generous to give it an A tier, just because I like it. I think objectively, it's a B tier show, just because the writing is kind of cheesy, the cinematography is kind of dated, and the music is weird. The editing transitions between scenes is just like a little awkward, and it's just like I feel like I'm kind of, I feel like this is kind of like what it would be like the old people show, like when we're all like, all like 75-year-old and like not just broken mentally because we already are, but broken physically as well. That's the shows that we'll be watching, and our kids will be like, oh, look at Amar. He's over there watching White Collar, like an old person. White Collar and Rick and Morty. But yes, no, don't let the B tier level fool you. This is a good show. It's definitely worth watching. Superman and Lois. This show is so good. This show is so good. You know, I'm not gonna say too much because it spoil a lot, but it's literally if, you know, Zack Snyder made a DC superhero show. That's what Superman Lois is. You know, it was a great transition to watch this show coming off of watching the Snyder Cut. Visually, they somehow brought everything that was like great about the Snyder Cut, but because it's a real life environment, it just fits in really well. The writing is usually great. The characters are wonderful. I will say sometimes things happen in the show that don't make sense, so I'm gonna have to relegate it to an A tier. You know, if they writers had a little bit more situational awareness, I would give it that leg up. Let's see. Arcane. This is going to be a really tough one to judge, to kind of put in a particular tier. I had an old college friend who's by now is graduated, but he was gracious enough to give me his Netflix specifically so that I could watch the show, and I'm really glad that he did. I am only part of the way through this. I haven't finished it yet. I feel like I haven't seen enough to make a good judgment off of this, but this is really hard to put on a tier because this show is great. The show is incredible, but I think there's, you know, where shows like Superman Lois are fairly dramatic, Arcane I think is dramatic to the point where it's like it can be over the top and it can appear a little bit goofy unless you're like kind of immersed in the story, which I am. So for those things alone, I have to give it an A. Also, I think that the character design for the faces of the characters can at times be kind of ugly, but I will say that the animation and the motion and like how they make the people move is a lot better than Clone Wars. I think it's because it's a lot higher poly, has more like polygons, so there are more touch points that they can use to animate. All of the movements look like way more natural than in Clone Wars. Clone Wars needs to take some hints from Arcane. What, you know, or Disney does when they're making shows like Bad Batch and the other animated stuff. So now we have Hawkeye. Hawkeye is a I don't know. It's a fun show that's really well shot. I think the main issue is the tough thing for me is they did a really good job editing this. This is the first Marvel like MCU show that's produced by Disney that actually looks like a show that could have been aired on television. Like it's been edited with like television channel consistency. The big problem with this is some of the writing kind of sucks. As far as like the characters, some of the writing is just like the worst writing we've actually seen from MCU shows. To the point where there's some throwaway lines that people say, some things that people say that just don't make sense. Also, they really tip their hand a lot with the plot. You know, kind of showing off what they're going to do in the future, where I think the greatest stories come out of surprise. So for that, I'm going to have to put it on B tier. If they didn't tip their hand so much with the plot, though, I definitely put it on an A tier because it's a solid show. It's a solid show and very interesting. Falling Skies. This show is more like I don't know, like a legacy show. It's more of a show that like I liked when I was younger, and I never got to finish because they took it off of Amazon Prime, and I had no idea why. But then HBO Max started existing, so now I know why. Nonetheless, my mom was so generous as to buy this entire, Blu-ray box set for me, which, you know, is no small feat. It's like $100. So I really appreciate that. So I've been trying to get people to watch this with me, but it's kind of tough. So I'm thinking about starting it on my own if I can't get people to watch it with me for too long. I mean, after too long. Yeah, it's a fun show. I will say the more I watch it, the more that, not the cinematography, but the cameras themselves and some of the lighting seems a little bit dated. Also, the writing is okay. It's not bad, but it's not great. And also the plot is like not that unique. Although I will say it's pretty well executed. I'm gonna have to put this on a B tier. It might be an A tier show, but I'm just putting it on a B tier just because I'm worried that I might be biasing a little bit, because this is a show that I watched when I was like way younger. Like I started the show like 2 or 3 years ago. I still haven't gotten past season 1. So yeah. Now we have 911 Lone Star. Now this is a great show. This show is far better than 911. 911 wishes they were as good as 911 Lone Star is. This show knows how to handle characters. This show knows what makes those characters interesting. I would say skip season 1 because not season 1. I'd say skip the first episode. The first episode of this show, first of all, is kind of woke garbage. And second of all, introduces the characters in a way, it introduces all the main characters essentially as tokens rather than people. You'll get a far better introduction as to who these people are if you take a more 911 approach to it and just let us see how these people interact and let us make our own judgments about sorry who these people are. Like there are characters like Paul, the trans character, who they literally turn his like transgenderism into an awareness perk. It's really weird, but and that's how they like. I'm not even joking. That's literally how they utilize him in the show. It's so weird, but when you look past that episode, it's not like it doesn't really seem like that's what's happening. It's just like he's aware. He looks around, he notices things. He knows things about different things are in the area. He knows that mercury causes Mad Hatter's disease and stuff like that. So ignore the first episode. It's woke garbage, but skip that, and this show is superb and probably the best firefighter show on television right now, I'd say. I don't care how many gay people and trans people are in the show. This show is fire. Go watch it. I will have to give that an A tier. So here's my list. We unfortunately have that one terrible show in the F tier, but I feel like we have more shows in the A. Do we have more shows in the A tier? We have no C tier shows, which is great. Unfortunately, only one S tier show, which is really sad. I was kind of close to putting Arcane there, but I gotta watch more of that to see. And it's sad that Hawkeye is just a B tier show. It feels a little bit of a disgrace putting it there with White Collar and Falling Skies, but it is what it is. I made my call. It might be controversial. Might have some people complaining, why do you have 911 Lone Star in Superman and Lois above Hawkeye? But it's fine. Come on, white girl, just leave your comment down and then go all crazy, go all over Twitter and complain like a stan about how dare I put a Hawkeye on B tier next to Falling Skies and White Collar. Don't ignore the unnecessary tipping of the hand of the plot with this. There's no need to hint so much at the main character and at the big boss villain. We all know who the big boss villain is because you keep showing us his frame. You keep talking about him, and you keep talking about what he does. And because of the area where he lives is really easy to guess, and it's just so unnecessary. I wish it was a surprise. I wish that we were going into this season, this finale, not knowing who this person was. The plot thing that connects Hawkeye to Black Widow was a lot better because it was just out of the blue, and they didn't really leave any crumb drops to it. So I think that twist is going to be a lot more exciting than it's not even a twist with who the villain is. We know. Marvel needs to do better. They need to stop putting in throwaway lines too. things are either said that don't make sense, or things that are said that the character means something else, but they say something slightly different semantically, and it doesn't make sense that people would always gloss over it all the time. But maybe I'm nitpicking, but this show just gets on my nerves because of the issues. Someone in my hall, Nate McClain, which by the way, go check out his YouTube channel. He has this series where he's streaming Terraria called Calamitous Terrarians. But he pointed out, there's some laziness going on too with Hawkeye as far as the logistics of how things happen. It's a spot where like this person like steps on a bottle and it flies at a trajectory that just wouldn't make sense from a perspective of physics. And he pointed out how there's like a weird jump cut in the pilot that just like was kind of unnecessary and way too noticeable. Hawkeye is just a flawed show where like the plot's solid, the characters are cool, but if you look beyond a surface level, this show was just so flawed that like there are so many better shows on television than Hawkeye, and people just really overinflate the value of the show. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this, enjoyed watching me do the tier lists. Maybe I'll do more tier lists in the future. You guys have to let me know if my tier lists are something that you enjoy seeing. Tell me how bad the tier lists are so I can make more. So I've been wanting to react to some stuff. There are so many things I have on my list of things to react to and review. So I figured let's go ahead and get into it. I have I have some trailers, some memes, some other things. I think I'm going to be able to get to what's it called? The whole Travis Scott thing, because that's something I've really been wanting to get into. And I think I might be able to get into it tonight, which would be fantastic if I could. So, all right, I'm going to start this off with this movie that, from what little I've seen, it seems like a Christian movie, actually. But it's starring these, like, big names. So I kind of want to check this out and see.
Wanted to see me, sir.
Also, nice use of stereo there.
Coach, I prefer stand.
All right, go ahead then. Tell me.
Tell you what.
Didn't he play
Team
Shazam?
worth $800 million. One of the most complex offenses ever built. Should put you in the driver's seat. You're too old to be a rookie, too green to be a pro. So why in the world would I give you this shot?
Oh, so they're trying to be like the next like facing the Giants, I guess. Why are they?
All my life,
Interesting. I
I
don't know.
find myself through sports.
Oh.
I've always come up empty.
Coach, I can win for you. You need to start thinking about life.
Hey, wait! That dude's in the last ship. The last ship. Yo, that's cool. He's
I
Slattery.
can win for you.
That's
You
so
need to
cool.
Start thinking about life after football, son.
That's awesome.
We gave you that chance. We're letting you go.
I
Oh,
was meant for something.
he was a quarterback.
Something more.
For some reason, I thought the show was about him being a coach.
Yeah, I do.
What are you doing here?
I
Interesting.
wasn't ready for it. But I am now.
Okay, so I'm hoping that
Defying all odds.
Waited for it.
the only bad
for it.
thing about this is I know how it's going to end. Like I'm pretty sure I know how it's going to end. He's gonna get what he wants. He's gonna be the football dude. Because that's how these Christian movies
who I am.
work.
And I know why I'm here.
Yeah, Fate made him a champion. Yeah, it's a
Give me a
Christian
chance.
movie.
Green went
It's
down
cool.
hard and is not getting up.
I will not let you down.
Shazam.
You were born for this.
I'm surprised.
There's something special about you, son.
No, it's nice. They kind of subverted
Destiny.
all of the
Come on, son.
religious
Count your
messaging that I'd seen from the promos in
You
this
wanna prove
in
that?
this trailer. And all the promos I saw were newer than this. But also, isn't that like the same font that they used in Courageous right there? Like very clearly, like they're really trying hard to to like appeal to that crowd. Let's see. Did they say? Yeah, no, nothing specifically about God, but there's a lot of religious undertones here and some overtones on the promos. So this is a Christian movie. It looks like it might be good. Of course, I mean Lionsgate made it, so we can expect that Hunger Games quality to show out here. It'll be fun. I don't know how good it's gonna be, but it should be at least better than most Christian movies because they're not produced by Christians. So that should be fun. Looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. All right, now we got this. Supergirl, no touching without consent. Which, yeah.
No touching without consent.
What? What? Hold on. I feel like that's something someone would make if they're making fun of like the fun of it. It's so weird. Also, can we please let's give it up for how bad the CGI is. This looks like something where it's like, you know, if you ever watch like the Marvel stuff, like for like I don't know, like the behind the scenes CGI things for like I don't know, the first Avengers movie, the before like prototypes looked better than this. This is bad. It's like some naked red like alien. Like
No touching without consent.
also that acting is bad. Also, gotta love the Justice League beanie that's in like the style of the Zack Snyder stuff. That's awesome. Props to whoever this guy is. Yeah, heel versus babyface. Props to you for having a Justice League beanie. Really cool. Were people actually expecting people to take this seriously?
What?
Why would you?
What?
No touching without consent.
Why would you make this? Who writes this? Who writes like this? Man, y'all weird. You guys are clowning on yourselves. It looks like you're making fun of your own cause. Like, at least the show's canceled now. All right, this one should be fun. This title looks interesting, exciting. We're about to see some honor among thieves here as robber returns money to store clerk, says it's not enough to help sick daughter.
Was a robbery in progress, along with an
Also, what's up with my sound? Is it just me, or is the sound only playing on?
eyebrow raised. Was a robbery in progress.
Wait, I'm only getting
along
audio
with
on the
an
left
eyebrow
ear.
raised.
If that's affecting you guys, I'm sincerely
Was a robbery
sorry.
in progress, along with an eyebrow-raising disguise and a handgun.
Demanded money from
It's
the
an interesting
cashier,
disguise.
and I guess on a change of heart,
Is he like dressed up as like a
Handgun.
demanded money
late
from the
late
cashier,
2000s
and
YouTuber?
I
Like,
guess on a change of heart or change of mindset, I'm not
like yo, we got like
Robbery in progress,
we got
along
like
with an
Ethan. We
eyebrow-raising
got like Ethan Klein before he went on a diet. Before he went on the Papa John's diet. This was Ethan Klein here.
disguise and a handgun.
demanded money from the cashier, but then I guess on a change of heart or change of mindset, I'm not gonna do it.
The brazen bandit backed out. What could have easily been a couple $100 money grab, foiled by the robber himself.
That was unbelievable. What happened, because he actually had the money in his hand and refused to take it. He said that was not enough to pay for his daughter's kidney transplant.
Chemo owns the
Yo, and this is why we need socialism to make everything cost more money.
shop at Marie and Red Lion Roads. And you heard right, the robber apparently changed his mind.
Dude, imagine. I love how people are like, yo, healthcare is like so expensive, so we need socialism. Dude, in socialism, this man would not have even been able to get to this point. First of all, the store would be barren. Second of all, maybe there'd be $200, but like the $200 that would have been at the store for him to rob would have been worth like $2 there. Like, dude, if you like socialism so much, go to Venezuela.
Telling him the crime wouldn't help his daughter.
Oh no, it's this socialism isn't that's not Venezuelan socialism isn't real because it wasn't made by white people. Okay, whatever.
Kidney transplant much. What do could happen to him?
Hard to say. I think for willing to use the gun or taking the gun out of his pocket, I think he should be
He committed a crime, so like I mean, it's a legal thing.
punished for that. But in the same time, us as a society, I think we should do something to help people like that. And
We should help people like that, but what are we gonna do? You know, I don't know, like give people the Medal of Freedom for not robbing a bank or robbing a store? Like that's weird. Like,
not push them to the edge that where they have to use their gun.
The man, we're told, put his gun away and became friendly before leaving the store. Police say he still faces an armed robbery charge, but they're also
He should.
interested in learning more about the daughter he brought up.
If you're gonna commit a robbery, I guess the best type of robbery to commit is one where you don't complete it and you change your mind.
I don't know. If you're gonna do a crime, at least have an upside. Cause I mean, this dude is gonna go to jail. Honestly, probably. And either way, at least he could go to jail with $200 extra in his bank account. I feel like, from a materialistic standpoint, I disagree with this officer here. I'm sorry about that. All right. Next one says here, you could have just let him run. Prosecutors questioned Travis Michael in trial of death of Ahmaud Arbery.
You could have just stopped, right?
Could have.
You could have just let him run, correct?
I could have, but I also wanted to make sure that everything was okay down the road and see what was happening. I wanted to ask him, at least ask him what was happening. And see what...
Didn't he like run up with him with a shotgun?
Despite the fact that you know about the Fifth Amendment, you know that no one has to talk to anyone they don't want to talk to, right?
That's correct.
I'll say that's a terrible argument for asking why you wanted to ask someone a question, but it's fine. You can use as many questions as you like.
And you said that you wanted to know what happened and that you saw Matt Albenzi out in the street when you came out with your shotgun from your house, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't go down and ask Mr. Albenzi what was going on, did you?
I did not.
So at one point in time, I think you said you thought, well, maybe somebody had been hurt or something had been broken into or maybe Larry English was down there, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, the facts of the case, he actually did commit a robbery, or he was attempting to commit a robbery, and people scared him off.
But you didn't head that way to see what exactly had happened, did you?
I did not, because Mr. Albenzi was pointing down the road. I took it as...
Dude, I don't know. I don't want to look at this anymore. These guys went and found this dude who, admittedly, from everything I see, he was stealing stuff. But these dudes went out with their truck, got some shotguns, found him and like shot him. That sounds like a little bit much to me. They all got convicted, I think, and good for the jury for finding them guilty. Next. Let's see. Introducing the Iceland verse. This should be fun.
Hi, and welcome to this very natural setting. Today, I want to...
Is he a human being? This is
talk about a revolutionary approach on how to connect our world without being super weird.
What did he do with his eyes?
On how to connect...
Hold on. I need to change the quality on this a little bit, but...
our world without...
That reminds me of like the Theranos. Have you guys seen the Theranos? Hold on, let me see. Have you guys seen you guys have probably seen the Theranos, there's like this Theranos thumbnail, this picture of the Theranos lady looking all weird. It reminds me of that a lot. Let's see. Like, yo, look at those eyes. Those eyes are exactly the same. Why Why does this dude have the exact same eyes as the Theranos lady? This is so crazy. There's like very little difference. It kind of makes them both look crazy, but it's wild that they're so similar. I don't know. Okay, continue.
Being super weird. Some said it's not possible. Some said it's out of reach.
Isn't it virtual? You can't reach it.
To them, we say it's already here.
Oh, the Iceland
Seriously,
verse.
look, it's right here. And what do we call this not so new chapter in human connectivity? The Iceland verse.
Okay, and ironically, the Iceland verse is probably going to be better than the metaverse. I can't wait for the Iceland verse to come out. Just saying.
Enhanced actual reality without silly-looking headsets. In our open world
Sounds
experience,
nice.
everything is real.
I feel like there's some downsides to that, though.
And has been for millions of years.
Well, I'm a young Earth creationist.
For millions
but this dude
everything is real.
This dude is great at acting. Like, this, he
And
just
has
gives
been
up.
for millions
It's
of years.
so awkward. This is awesome.
It's completely
He doesn't know what to do with his hands. This is like talking to someone from the hill. Look
for
at this.
millions of years. It's completely immersive. With water that's wet.
What's this? What does he have on his face?
With humans.
What does he look like? He's like cosplaying as a hobbit
With
with
water
that crouch.
that's wet.
Or not.
With
Like,
humans to connect with. You're human, right? Isn't she funny? In the Iceland verse, there's real moss you can look at.
I will say this is really interesting. I've heard a little bit about the Iceland verse, but the moss is like an interesting feature that I've never really taken into account. That'll be something really interesting to try and see and check out if the Iceland verse is something I ever get into. I think the moss is gonna be my my first touch point.
Please don't touch. It's very delicate.
Not supposed to touch?
Look at. But
What's
please
the point
don't
of
touch.
it being
very
there if we're not allowed to touch it?
Skies you can see with your eyeballs. Volcanic rocks you can caress. Really big geysers you can observe from a safe distance. Birds you can watch.
I've literally
They're really
only
cute,
seen those
but
birds in
from
like
safe
I don't
distance.
know.
Birds you can watch.
I feel like I've seen
They're
more
really
like
cute, but a bit stupid.
why are they stupid?
Waterfalls you can stand near, like this one, that one, this one, that one, and even this one.
Ooh.
Horses you can ride, with hair you can touch. The
That's some
Iceland
fire
verse,
hair, dude.
Horses you
Yo.
can ride, with hair.
Check out that hairstyle, dude. That hairstyle is like better than not better than, but there's some people at my college you could pull their hairstyle off pretty well.
You can touch. The Iceland verse is a world with possibilities so endless, they'll be here forever. So join us today, or tomorrow, or whenever. We are really easygoing. Now, please enjoy our logo.
Very meta. Very meta. Very meta. I like it. I like this Iceland verse. All right. Let's see. Mugger taunts police after committing 3 robberies. Quote, I knew I'm getting out. It has to be Democrat-led
In New
city.
York, a knife-wielding mugger reportedly bragged to the police that he would not stay in jail because of the state's lax bail laws. The New York Post reporting...
Also, this is so sad. This dude looks like... I hate seeing a dude like this. Like, he... And not from the visual sense. I don't think he's that ugly. But... This guy looks like he's like somebody's like granddad. Like, this guy deserves to be like buying presents for like his kids or something. Like, this is the kind of dude who, like, you watch like a Christmas movie and he's like super nice and doing kind things for others. What causes a dude that's this old with a receding hairline this much? Like, this bro is bald, dude. How do you? It's sad to see someone this old like committing muggings. Like, at least like if they're like 21, you could say they're dumb. Like, I'm 21 and I'm pretty dumb. But this, he should know better. Or I don't know. Maybe he's been driven to this. Which, if so, that's worse.
Bail laws. The New York Post reporting 63-year-old, this guy's name is Augustin Garcia, told police, quote, "I know I'm getting out. I have no record." This after the second arrest.
Well, that's interesting.
Now,
what inspires a dude with no record to just like rob people?
Nassau County, New York Police Commissioner Patrick Ryder called this on our show the minute this no cash bail came out. You said this is a disaster, and you tried to warn everyone. New York's left-leaning state body put this out there. This guy was right. 3 arrests in 36 hours. He was only held in an institution at the end.
That's correct. January in 2020, when they came out with justice reform, bail reform is a good thing.
So did they let? So they let him out then?
They never sat down with the experts, us, the judges, and spoke to us and said, "Hey, what is this going to do?" You can
wait a minute. I like Fox News, kind of, but I like them less as time goes on. Hold on.
I thought this was astounding, but my next guest doesn't.
Wait, hold on.
Told police, quote, "I know I'm getting out. I have no record." This after the second of 3 arrests in the span of 36 hours. Now, we thought this was astounding, but my next guest doesn't. Nassau County, New York Police Commissioner Patrick Ryder called this on our show the minute this no cash bail came out. You said this is a disaster, and you tried to warn everyone.
They didn't, and if this is true, they need to lead with this, but it doesn't. They haven't established that these Democrat policies are like. They didn't establish that he got out and that was because of these Democrat policies. They're already bashing the policies. You need to slow up and wait. Talk about like the facts of the case and then explain why the Democrat policies have exacerbated the situation.
Body put this out there. This guy was right. 3 arrests in 36 hours. He was only held in an institution at the end.
Oh, I see. Well, three arrests in 36 hours. So I guess that doesn't mean that he was let free and then robbed somebody else again and then let free. Okay, so yes.
January in 2020.
But they buried the lead 41 seconds in after explaining most of the facts of the case pretty early on.
Bail reform is a good thing. We can accept it on certain levels. They never sat down with the experts, us, the judges, and spoke to us and said, "Hey, what is this going to do?" You can see crime starting to rise. You see violence starting to rise. And they've been emboldened. They know exactly what they can get away with now.
Describe the ripple effect, because if you have no cash bail and they're getting out unless it's a serious crime, now the cops is not worth doing the paperwork to make that small arrest, knowing he or she is going to get out before you can get take the cap off your pen.
My cop arrests a drug dealer and a drug seller right on the street today. They go inside. The drug dealer goes to jail. Goes to the judge and gets out on bail. The drug buyer goes to the desk officer, gets an appearance ticket, walks out. Where does that drug user go now? The buyer, right back to the drug dealer to buy more drugs, overdoses, and then dies. We're not helping them. We got to get them inside the institution to fix them. We can do better, but we got to get them inside.
So you got to get them inside. When I watch the looting or smash and grab in San Francisco, they're doing the same thing in California. In California, and we're seeing in Los Angeles too, and Oakland. Do you think this is related to
all
the same
these
thing?
Absolutely. They know if you steal less than $1,000, they're not going to even charge you.
I could watch more of this, but none of this is new information. I thought this would be funnier than, I know I'm getting out, but I have no idea why I'm watching this, but I think I thought it'd be interesting. The doomed Cleveland Balloon Fest of '86. Oh, I assumed it'd be interesting because it has like 90 or 9.2 million views.
3 seconds, 4 seconds, I understand. How long is it going to take these kids with no experience?
We're figuring that they'll do about 2 to 3 balloons a minute. I've been doing this since I was 15
Hold
years
on.
old.
No experience.
We're figuring that they'll...
In 3 seconds, 4 seconds, I understand.
People are inflating balloons in 3 seconds.
And how long is it going to take these kids?
These kids have no experience. Floating balloons. Okay. I feel like we now know what caused the doom of the Cleveland Balloon Fest of
With no experience,
1986.
We're figuring that they'll do about 2 to 3 balloons a minute. I've been doing this since I was 15 years old, so it's unfair to compare. But 2 to 3 balloons a minute, each kid is going to do correctly about 700 balloons or so.
Interesting.
For the day, and we'll do it in about 4 to 6 hours.
So were they just trying to see how many balloons they could
Don't park in
make?
the square because this ain't the place for your car this weekend. Back to you.
Sounds like fun, David.
I
Thank
understand
you.
we might have a northerly wind, too, so they'll all wind up over Canada.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun if that's how it ended up happening.
Ladies and gentlemen, live from downtown Cleveland, it's Big
Also, if all those graphics, like if these graphics here, if these graphics here are all made like new, like that's fire. This looks so authentically
live
old.
from downtown Cleveland, it's Big Chuck and Little John in front of the biggest happening around.
Yo, chill. Calm down.
Downtown Cleveland, it's Big Chuck.
Ladies and gentlemen, live from YouTube, it's the biggest happening right now because nobody in the Eastern Standard Time Zone is streaming at 3:04 in the morning.
And Little John in front of the biggest happening around.
Okay, thank you, John. And we have a real story to tell you. This is not, we're not making this up. It's really happened. Mary Ellen bought 2 bunches of balloons to give to John.
She bought 2 balloons? Man. And they're not even making any of this up?
And I here. She came down, and one of the bunches of balloons.
These, I must say, this is a testament to how boring Ohio is. With like people blowing balloons, it's like a big deal. Like this dude is literally like, we're in Cleveland, and can you believe it? Girl bought like 5 balloons.
She had tied to her watch, and the watch opened up, and the balloons took the watch, and it's now going out east somewhere. So John and I say, if anybody finds Mary Ellen's watch tied to a bunch of balloons like this, and if you return it to the station, we'll have all kind of rewards for you. Okay, thanks for coming down, Mayor.
What?
Who do you have there, John?
What was that? What?
What kind of rewards
What
for
did
you?
I just
Thanks
see?
for coming down, Mayor.
What? That's like a.
Who do you have there, John?
What did I just see?
What is your name?
What?
Okay, Tanya, show everybody what you have on your hands there. What are those?
Tape bandages.
Okay, and what are they for?
They're for getting away from sores from your hand.
Okay, did you get any blisters?
Sores?
Yeah, 3.
Are you having a good time?
Yeah.
Are you tired?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Chuck, as you can see, they're going strong. They're blowing them up. I still think they have the record. Back to you, Chuck.
He's very passionate.
Something that has been in the planning stages since March of this year. So a lot of technical research and research through the city permits. It's endless. It's absolutely astonishing to try and get something like this off, let alone waiting for good weather.
I think
a big plus for Cleveland.
Oh, it's something that, you know, they predicted 70% chance of showers today, and I think this is a prime example of what United Way is trying to do in terms of saying, it's Cleveland, it's your time. It's time to say yes. It's time to say,
Oh!
city. We are
There
on
was
the
a
move.
net.
It's no longer the butt of jokes or anything.
That's
I've been in
actually
the city
pretty
now for
crazy.
6 months, and I absolutely.
Wait, that's pretty wild. And I need to rewind because I wasn't paying attention to what they were saying, but that's insane. Actually, I thought it was just people blowing balloons.
So this is a
But
big plus.
I mean, they're catching them in a net and then they're gonna let them free. It's kind of crazy. Wish they did it when people had 4K cameras.
For Cleveland.
Oh, it's something that, you know, they predicted 70% chance of showers today, and I think this is a prime example of what United Way is trying to do in terms of saying, it's Cleveland, it's your time. It's time to say yes. It's time to say it is a happening city.
I still think we're on the move is still like on the butt of jokes. They literally picked like the worst thing. Why? I mean, they should have just like put LeBron James on their basketball team. Like that would work. But instead they do this.
We are on the move. It's no longer the butt of jokes or anything. I've been in this city now for 6 months, and I absolutely love it. You know, my wife and I have even talked about moving here, and our friends in LA think we're nuts.
He seems like a really, you know, really hip and cool dude with his little cap and tie.
But it is a wonderful place. If I had money to invest,
Geeky glasses.
Very, very good.
Very good,
Thank
Chris.
you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, we were just talking.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'd like to know who these people even were.
And the far end is up, and there they go, John.
The Guinness Book of World Records has just been broken in Cleveland. Over 1,500,000 balloons
What?
going up in the air at this very, very moment. Look at the cloud below. We did it!
We did it, John. There it goes. It's completely covering the terminal tower.
Looks like a super villain in a Marvel movie.
I want to sing up and away. It is awesome, ladies and gentlemen, to actually be down here and see the multicolors that are going up in the air at this moment.
We did it, John.
This is it.
Let's do it for Cleveland.
It's actually kind of crazy, but how did this fail? I don't understand how this could be a failure.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is no mistake on the lake
Well, that was
anymore.
doomed.
Cleveland has now broken the Guinness Book of World Records and released over 1,500,000 balloons.
That's insane, man.
Think of that, Chuck.
I don't think it's as big of as.
Cleveland, home of the rock and roll.
Get it out, spit it out. But I don't think it's as crazy as as exciting as they were saying. This has been a thing to witness for sure. I mean, I couldn't imagine screaming and shouting about it as much as they are, but.
Yeah.
Are those balloons falling? Oh, they're all popping and stuff. Oh no, so it's gonna be raining like balloon stuff everywhere. Wait a minute, that's actually gotta suck.
It's been an exhausting search for these Coast Guardsmen. They've been out on the water most of the day looking for two 40-year-old Cleveland men, Skip Sullivan and Raymond Broderick. They went out fishing about an hour before last night's heavy storm blew through. This is their boat, a pair of life jackets still in it, along with a hat and a fishing pole. The boat's motor is gone. Its sides are battered, apparently from pounding all night against this section of the break wall off Edgewater Park.
What?
That's where the Coast Guard found the boat about 8:30
What does this have to do with the balloons?
Ironically, that big balloon launch in Cleveland today is one of the things that's making this search so tough for the Coast Guard.
What?
Can you imagine trying to find somebody floating out here or even spotting a life jacket with all these balloons?
You
can't make this up.
You're looking for more or less a head or a huge life jacket. Here you have a couple 100,000 orange balloons.
No.
It's just hard to decipher which is which.
No, this is. It's sad that they died though.
Because of weather, 60% of the balloons launched landed here instead of the planned 10%. Many of them were found on Lake Erie.
Well, I wasn't recognized by the Guinness Book of World
Covered
Records.
the lake and caused concern on Saturday are no longer here today. No one's quite sure where they went, but at least they're no longer posing a threat to fish and wildlife, and they're not littering the lake.
Oh man, they went missing. We gotta go find these missing balloons. I bet they all actually ended up popping or whatever and sinking to the bottom. Majority of the balloons ended up in Canada. Yeah, they were right.
Michelle Holden, live on 5.
505. 505. That's interesting. That's a nice little story. When was this made? Because it looks old. I don't know. That's kind of fun. It's a fun little story, except for the people who died. I guess that makes it kind of not that fun, actually. Let's see. It's 3:12. How much time do we have? I don't have too much time. I think I'm gonna cut this short. You know, I had some other things I wanted to get to, but I just don't think I have the time to get to everything. You know, I wanted to play Minecraft. And I don't have time to do that either. Plus, no one else is awake. It's my dad's birthday today. So I guess I'm gonna wish him happy birthday. If I had the presence of mind on stream, I would have shown y'all the gift. But actually, no, because some of my siblings watched the streams and they would have gotten a sneak peek of what the gift was. But I'm really excited for him to see it. It's definitely something that he'll enjoy. So that'll be really cool. Looking forward to that. So, yeah. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. And I guess I will I'll see y'all later. I'll see y'all in the Discord too. Don't forget to join the Discord. I have the link in the description. I am sorry if this stream sucked. I am tired. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
I've had these dreams my whole life, that's just always who I've been. This journey has been a movie and I do it all again. Got a hand in me a pen, he said write out what you're after, son. Last year was great, but listen, that was only chapter 1. I've learned a lot, but I still got a lot to learn about themselves. Yeah, you mad cause I'm young.
Sorry, I had to come back. This song is fire. I'm mad that Zonti took this song off of streaming. Very, very upset about that. So fire. So I'm gonna just keep this on the whole stream the whole time.
First video, now I took off like a plane. People watch across the globe. It's simple, the people love it. That's the way that it goes. Y'all wanna know the reason that second vid was so hard? My boy did the effects himself, cause he's a young star. Never had any connections. I just sacrificed my time. Felt like I was Tony Hawk. That's the way I grind. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. That's the way I shine. How I wonder who you are, an old friend of mine. Me and Pops up on every weeks working on the brand. That's the reason we blew up, cause we had always had a plan. Go Ray Kroc on them, Stallion rock on them. I work in the opponents, no one want it like I want it. Go Ray Kroc on them. Stallion rock on them. I'm out working my opponents. No one want it like I want it. I turn while the other one sleep. Ain't no one on the planet gonna outwork me. Last man standing win, so I stay all in.
Alright, I'm not gonna keep this song on the whole stream, but definitely check this song out. The song is fire. But anyways, thanks for watching the stream. See y'all. Peace.
You know I'm the future, up now and up next. 5 record labels call me, you ain't even get a text. Had to turn down 4, that means I had to choose the best. And I own everything, but they still write checks. Bag to baddie, glad to have me, they so mad cause I'm happy. And I've been in my bag while you out here looking baggy. Been in the bag like a caddy, secure the bag like a safe. And I never chase a paper, boy, it's me to the chase. Never had any help to spend my time on this music. People thought it was foolish, they didn't think I could do this. But I proved them all wrong, now they trying to be friends. My friends is Jesus, my family, and all these dead presidents. What's on ice cream like Giannis, I'm